All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Brand Down the Gridiron. Normally, I would jump into our campus tour right after this, right after we get done with our Gridiron Roundup. But today is going to be different. That's why today's show might be a little longer than normal because it took 3 weeks. 3 weeks! And the pain and suffering has already begun. If you don't believe me, Cole Johnson. Oh, yeah. What about Napier? Referring to the Florida Gators. He wasn't done, though. Mike Novell should get the same. Get your ass out of there. Talk like Rudy Taggart got before him. And I can tell you this, Cole Johnson has been waiting for this day to come. He also is waiting for what tomorrow's going to be on Ramley Talk. He's been waiting for this. And here it is. And Cool McCain, who is a Miami Hurricane fan, who is feeling pretty good about his Hurricanes right now. They are ranked in the top 10. Look, Cam Ward looks spectacular. Cam Ward look just as advertised, and Miami's look good on defense as well. UCF, the school that I attended for a year down in Orlando, Florida, they are undefeated right now. They had a nice comeback victory over TCU on the road in Fort Worth, Texas, this past weekend. They are 3-0. Miami's 3-0. UCF is 3-0. And yet, it is not great to be a Florida State Seminoles nor a Florida Gator. I know. There's so many different ways we can talk about both of these programs right now. So many different directions, so many different problems. There is a lot, okay? I didn't know it was going to take me 3 weeks to get here. Didn't see this coming. Florida State and Florida. And Cool says he feels good. And you should feel good, sir. You're undefeated. You're right in the top 10. Okay? You should feel good. Let's start with the team in Tallahassee. The Florida State Seminoles. You know that team that went undefeated? Won the ACC last year. Quiet and whine about not making the playoffs when people like me was trying to tell y'all weren't going to make it because of the injury of Jordan Travis. But nobody didn't want to hear that. We went undefeated. We won every game. We shouldn't even be that. If the playoff committee said you have to look the part, not just play the part, and you don't look the part when you won a game, when you won your ACC championship game in the most boring championship game of the year, you're not going to make the playoffs. You won, you cried, and all your stars didn't want to play in a bowl game against Georgia in the Orange Bowl. Georgia wanted to make a statement, which they did. They beat you 60. They put up 63 points. That's all I know. They put up 60 points. I don't even forgot what score Florida State had. When Georgia can score 60 on you something is wrong. Okay, something is seriously wrong. But you didn't show up for the Orange Bowl. And before I continue, Victor's in the building. What's up, Victor? How you doing? How you doing, Mr. Playmaker, the hardest working super hacker in the broadcast testing program? He sends greetings to the EP of all EPs, Cole Johnson, and the head eagle in charge himself, Cool McCain, which I'm pretty sure he's not happy with what took place on Monday Night Football, but we're talking college, so Cool can sit back and feel good about this. Undefeated, didn't show up for the bowl game, so you got your behind beat. You go into this season, you take your asses over to Dublin, Ireland to go against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, and you don't finish the deal. They were able to keep the game-winning field goal, and they beat you in Dublin, Ireland. And week 0, you're 0-1 to start off. And 0-1 in the ACC, by the way, because that was an ACC game. Week 2, you come home on Labor Day, by the way. This means you had a full 11 days to get ready for Boston College. And what did they do? They beat you. Now you're 0-2 in ACC play, and you 0-2 overall. And then this past week, Memphis beat you. Now you're 0-3. You're 0-3. You scored 46 points this season in 3 games. That is 15.3 points per game. That means you can barely score 2 touchdowns with the extra point and a 2-point conversion. That's all you can muscle up per game. While your opponents are scoring 72 points, which is 24 points a game, which means they're scoring 3 touchdowns with 3 extra points and a field goal. That is +9 for the opponent. That is -9 for Florida State. You have a turnover ratio of -3. You committed 4 turnovers on offense, and your defense only got you 1. That doesn't help. You're passing. You're completing 56% of your passes. You're passing for 222 yards a game. You only have 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions. Your running game. Oh, Cole Johnson loves running game. So Cole Johnson is going to love this statistics for Florida State. 71 carries for 156 rushing yards. That is 52 yards a game. That is 2.2 yards per carry, and you have 3 rushing touchdowns in the season. But we're talking about Florida State here. Cool, McCain. You are a Miami Hurricane fan, so you know the history of Florida State. The numbers that I just threw out there, are these alarming numbers to you when it comes to Florida State? When you hear the word Florida State, do you see these numbers associated with Florida State before I just said these numbers? I just want to throw that out there. Scoring 15 points a game, giving up 24. 2.2 yards per carry. 2.2 yards per carry. And all my life, and I'm a Gator fan, I have never thought I would see numbers like this from a Florida State team. Never. This is atrocious. This is terrible from Florida State. This is absolutely terrible. And Cool McCain chimes in. He says, no. I'm talking to a Hurricane fan, so he would know this just as much as I would. These is not the numbers we expect from Florida State, even though me and him both, we can't stand Florida State. But this is just terrible. This is terrible right here. Let's go to the defense. Defense are allowing 64.8% of the passes being completed against them. Teams are throwing for 174.4 yards a game with 4 touchdowns to 1 interception. Remember, I told you they had a turnover ratio of -3. They only had 1 defensive turnover. It's the interception. Rush defense. Let's see how the rush defense is, because they had a hell of a defense when you go to Florida State. Teams have carried the ball for 120 times. They have ran for 518. That is 172.7 yards per game. They are averaging 4.3 yards a carry with 5 rushing touchdowns. This is on the Florida State's defense. So while you're getting 2.2 yards a carry on offense, the opposing team is getting 4.3 yards a carry on offense. You're only getting 52 yards per game rushing. The opponent is getting 173 yards per game. That is 123 or 21 difference in rushing yards. Difference. And one of the most crucial downs there is in football is the third down. Florida State is 23.3% on third down on offense. The opponent, so when Florida State's defense is on the field, they had 50%. I don't know. I just don't know. I gave you all the losses that they had, right? But let me put it on the screen for it, because I do have it on there. So you lost 24-21 in Ireland to Georgia Tech. Boston College ran through you. And if Cole Johnson is still watching, maybe he can remind me of the official numbers. But I do recall that Boston College almost ran for 300 yards on y'all, and y'all weren't even close to 100 yards rushing. And that's how you got your ass whooped 28-13 at Doak Campbell Stadium. Doak Campbell Stadium. That's in Tallahassee, Florida. Oh, and speaking of Doak Campbell Stadium, you was there like this past weekend, and Memphis walked in there and beat you 20-12. Mike Norvell's former team, before Mike Norvell became the head coach of Florida State. Those of you who don't know, Mike Norvell was the head coach of the Memphis Tigers. Remember the years when the Memphis Tigers and the USC Knights were battling back and forth in this little rivalry they had going on for the American Conference? Yeah, Mike Norvell was on the sideline for the Memphis Tigers. And Scott Frost was on the sideline for UCF. Mike Norvell was doing so good, Florida State called him instead of Deion Sanders to coach Florida State because what he was doing in Memphis. That same program walked into Doak Campbell Stadium this past Saturday and beat them 20-12. Y'all couldn't even beat Mike Norvell's former team from the American Conference. That's why it was interesting when I did my little tirade when the Clemson Tigers and the Florida State Seminoles renewed their revenue shares talks with the ACC, and it was talking about brand valuation and TV revenue. That's why I said it, because the Florida State Seminoles are 0-3. They haven't won a damn game. And if you notice, none of the teams that they have played are ranked when they played them. Georgia State wasn't even thought of when the rankings came out, and Florida State was already ranked in the top 10. They didn't change. No, the committee didn't make no change. They said not everybody plays, so we're gonna keep Florida State at 10 when we go into Labor Day. And then Boston College ran all up down the field on you, so you had 2 top 10 losses. You had 2 losses as a top 10 team out the gate. So you went from that to being underranked, and then Memphis just beat you. One of the differences in Florida State this year than previous years is quarterback play. DJ Uiagalelei. He is 55 for 99 passing. That is 56.6% completion percentage. Passing for 666 passing yards. That is 222 passing yards per game. 6.7 yards per attempt. He has only passed for 1 touchdown. He's only threw 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. This man started at Clemson, felt some type of way about Dabo Swinney, transferred to Oregon State. Did pretty good at Oregon State. Didn't want to stay there because he felt he couldn't get the Noah right out of shine at Oregon State, especially what happened to the Pac-12. Now they're at the Pac-2. So he went to Florida State to take over for Jordan Travis, who is now in the NFL, recovering from ACL surgery, being the backup to Aaron Rodgers and Tyrod Taylor. So you bring in DJ, you bring in a veteran in college terms. And this is the position that you're getting from him. It is not very, but not good. You complete more than 50% of your passes. Okay, you is putting the ball in. You're giving the nice over 200 yards passing yards, but you only got 1 passing touchdown. And you threw 2 interceptions. It's not looking good for you, DJ. And Florida State fans can't stand you right now. You want to tell you how I know? Because I got a lot of friends that are Florida State fans, and trust me, they be all up and down my social media timeline going off about you and Mike Norvell. But I don't. Yeah, your next 5 games. I see Cal, who is undefeated, but haven't. The only game that I really care about Cal is they went to Auburn. They beat Auburn in Auburn, by the way. Outside of that, they have really done nothing. SMU. We're going to get to see what SMU was looking like this weekend. And that maybe shine some light when the Florida State Stems got to head to that area of the Dallas-Fort Worth area to take on the Mustangs. And then it's the usually the battle for the conference. Well, it won't be that this year. Between Clemson and Florida State in Doak Campbell Stadium. Before they head to Duke on October 18th, and then their fateful game down in Coral Gables, Miami, when you go take a visit to the Hurricanes, who are ranked 8th in the country, by the way. I don't even know what games I can pick for y'all to win. I really don't know. I would say Cal, Because I've never seen Cal be good in anything football since Aaron Rodgers and Marshawn Lynch. SMU, they always up and down. You can never can tell. Clemson, that was Sweeney. He's struggling. He don't know. He don't know how to use the transfer portal. He don't want to use the transfer portal. He wants to develop his players. That development of players is not working out the way that he wanted to work out. So I don't even know how that game's gonna go. Duke is 3-0, and they had a whole coaching staff change, and they working undefeated. And then if Miami don't beat y'all by 50, I'll be surprised. Even though it's a rivalry game, it's Miami, bro. Miami's a whole different ball club right now. I don't know what to tell you. And then there's here, Mike Norvell. People in Tallahassee and Florida State fans all over this state. They are so disappointed in you, sir. So disappointed in you. Oh my gosh. The level of play from the Seminoles as distraught fans all through this state of Florida. You don't believe me? They are coming to the stadium with paper bags over their heads with the writing 0-12 and a question mark. They are looking like at Florida State go 0-12 already, and you got another fan coming to the game with a sign around his neck that says "We are cooked." This is what it's like in Florida State right now. 3 weeks into the new season. 3 weeks. It says 3 weeks into the new season. This is what they're like. But they ain't the only team. As you can see, look at this. That's what is going on in Tallahassee right now. This is what it's like to be a Florida State fan right now. This is what it is. There's nothing else I can tell you. But they're not the only team in the state of Florida that is falling on hard times. The Florida Gators. Yeah. 1-2 on the season. 0-1 in conference play. We dropped 82 points. That's 27.3 points per game. Opponents have 81, 27 points per game. So don't let that fool you, because one game we smacked one team around like we supposed to, but then look good in the other 2 games. So look, those numbers are kind of screwed. Okay, so don't fall into that trap. I'm just letting you know. We have a turnover ratio of -4. We have 6 offensive turnovers to 2 defensive turnovers. The funny thing is, when we got both of those turnovers on the defensive side, we couldn't do nothing with it. Passing, we're completing 61.5% of our passes for 279 yards per game, 5 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. So we're 1-to-1 when it comes to touchdown and interception ratio. So every touchdown we throw a pick. For every pick we throw a touchdown. That's pretty much what we're doing. The rushing game, 87 carries throughout the season with 357 yards. That is 119 yards per game, 4.1 yards per carry with 6 rushing touchdowns. The running game is working. The running game works. Somehow the passing game ain't clicking for whatever reason. It's hit or miss. And we don't look good. We just don't look good. Defensively, our pass defense giving up close to 69% completion percentage, which is not good for a secondary that's supposed to be representing the Florida Gators. Giving up 236 yards per game to 5 touchdown passes, and we only got 1 interception. Not very good on the back end. The back end is not looking very good. But hey, they're not alone, because the rush defense is not that good either. Out of 123 carries, the opponents are rushing for 515 yards this season on us. So per game, that is 171 yards per game. 4.2 yards per carry with 4 rushing touchdowns. So not only teams are passing on us, they are running the ball on us too. So we can kill in both directions. Our passing offense is not that great, but the opponents are as good. And you can say the running game on both sides is fairly even. So that doesn't bode well for us, because we can't get the passing right, and we can't stop the goddamn pass. Just like Florida State, guess what? Florida is 27.3 on third downs, while the opponent is at a 42% rate on third downs. Not as bad as Florida State, because Florida State opponents are 50% on third downs, which means they have a better chance of making it on them than against us. But like I said, no, it's like kind of screwed because one of the games that we won, we blew the team out like we're supposed to. So let me show you. We got our ass whipped by Miami right out the gate. Right out the gate. My ass got handed to me by Kuma Kane. Right out the gate. That's right out the gate. And I watched the game. I'm like, this is crazy. I couldn't even back out of Martin's Wrestling that following Monday because we had a premium live event to recap. Thank you, Triple H. And then following week, we started DJ Legway against Sanford, and you see what we did: 45-7, an ass whooping, like it's supposed to be. And then we come back at home for the third consecutive time. First ACC game of the year with Texas A&M coming rolling in when both teams with people like somebody gonna get a nice win, which is gonna be much needed, and the other team gonna be at a loss for we was at a loss at the beginning. Don't let that score fool you that Texas A&M only won by 13. No, Texas A&M whooped our ass. That game was not close. Cole with Johnson would tell you. I don't know if Cool watched. Cool would tell you. Any Florida fan would tell you that game was not as close as you might think it was. That was an ass whooping from A&M to Florida in the swamp. So we don't look good at home, just like Florida State don't look good at home. Florida State lost all three of their games, two of them which were at home. The other one was in over the seas in Ireland. We lost. We got two ass whoopers in the swamp, and we won one in the swamp. So both teams can't defend the whole field, which is ridiculous. And we got our two quarterback system. Graham Mertz, who is the starting quarterback for the Florida Gators, completing almost 66% of his passes. He's throwing for 286 passing yards. That's 143 passing yards per game, which is not good. When you're talking about passing in college, you need to be close to 300. But he did miss that Sanford game with an injury he suffered against Miami. He is going 8.2 yards per attempt, so he is trying to get the ball down the field somewhat. Only has one passing touchdown and two interceptions. DJ Ugalangale all over again. This time, but is in Graham Mertz's body. Go figure. And then we get to DJ Legway. He's completing 61.5% of his passes, 540 yards passing. That's 180 yards per game, 12.3 yards per attempt. He's getting the ball more down the field than Graham Mertz, which I'm not even mad about the whole 8.3 because you're trying to get the ball down the field. That lets me know you're trying. And you're not being stagnant and trying to do dump balls and stuff. While DJ Ugalangale for Florida State, 6.7 yards per attempt. Graham Mertz, he'll try to make the right decision, give me a dump off here, give me a crossing there. When I can, I would take my shots down the field. Hopefully we can complete them and whatnot. It hasn't fallen that way. DJ Legway, he's trying to make plays. Okay. He's going out there. He's like, I want to make an impact right away, and trying to make that impact right away is the reason why you have thrown for 4 touchdowns, but you also threw 3 picks. So Lagway has to figure out how to be in the middle. Don't mind you taking your shots, okay? Take them when you got them, but be careful with the football. The more time you give the team the football, the better opportunity is to whoop our ass, which Texas A&M did this past weekend. Graham Mertz also turned the ball off against A&M too, so both of y'all turned the ball off against A&M. But look, maybe you and Mertz can work together and y'all can combine and understand each other so that Ladway can take what Mertz does and put it into his game, and Mertz can see how electrifying Ladway is coming in and probably see what he can take from it. Y'all figure it out, because if y'all just take care of freaking football, we'll be all right. Offensively, defensively, I have nothing to say defensively. Defensively, I have nothing to say. We can't stop the pass. We can't stop the run. And somehow, some way, teams can score 30 on us with no problem. See, Florida State don't have that problem. Florida State ain't giving up 30 points like that. The most they gave up was 28. That was the Boston College. They gave up 24 to Georgia Tech, 28 to Boston College, and 20 to Mississippi. The problem is with them, they just can't score worth a damn. You'll be lucky to get a touchdown out of Florida State. But with us, Miami, you go ahead and draw 41 like it ain't nothing. Texas A&M, go ahead and draw 33 like it ain't nothing. And then we got to make a furious comeback to make the school look respectable. That doesn't work. That's why it looks so damn terrible. But we have a 2-quarterback system. Quarterbacks, they trying. They making mistakes. We can't stand it. We hate it. Play calling has something to do with it as well. Execution has something to do with it as well. But guess what? We're not going after the quarterbacks. Believe it or not, we're not going after quarterbacks. If you believe Gator fans are going after quarterbacks, they're really not. They're not going after quarterbacks. But I'm gonna tell you who they're going after real quickly. But I want to let you know, because those of you who don't remember, the hardest schedule in college football is the Florida Gators. This ain't even the dangerous part of the schedule. We go to Mississippi State this weekend. That we on ESPN, so I will have to watch this game as a Gator fan. I will have to watch it. We on a bye week the following week, then we have UCF in the swamp, and it's going to be in prime time. What channel's going to be on, it remains to be seen, especially if they look anywhere replicate of a Florida team that they need to look like against Mississippi State, and they come out 2-2. And if UCF continues and they come out 4-0, that's really going to be a game for me to watch in prime time. And I will be watching it. I don't care if it started at 6 or 8. I don't give a crap. And I'm going to sit here. I'm going to look at it from an analyst perspective, even though I am a Gator fan. Remember, I went to UCF. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to look at this game in an objective manner. And I'm going to come here that following Wednesday, and I'm going to give you my honest take on that game. So I'm pretty much tell you, that most likely this game going to be on the slate, on the campus tour slate for week 5. Oh, week 6. Sorry, I say week 6 because we have a bye week after Mississippi State. Then it's the trip to Rocky Top to take on the Tennessee Volunteers, and that's a L. I don't see us doing anything with Tennessee. Then we come back home to host Kentucky. Kentucky got their ass whipped by South Carolina. They look pretty damn good against Georgia. They just took a 1-point loss to Georgia, so who knows what kind of Kentucky team is going to show up in the swamp for that one. That's going to be ugly. And then this is where the death row of the death schedule begins. November 2nd in Jacksonville against the Georgia Bulldogs. Just for clarification, that's why I say that the death row starts there against Georgia. Because after you come to Jacksonville and play Georgia, you might get your ass whooped. Then you go to Austin, Texas to take on the Texas Longhorns, you might get your ass whooped there. Then you come home, you got to play the LSU Tigers. You may have a chance, you may not have a chance because later on in the season, and part of LSU probably figure out how to be a goddamn Tigers all of a sudden. And then after that, Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin comes walking into Gainesville, Florida. That's an ass whooping before you take your ass to Doak Stadium to play Florida State. Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss. 4 weeks straight. 4 weeks straight, though. That's why that is the death row of the schedule. And that's before we get to Florida State. So this guy right here, Billy Napier. Oh, Gainesville want your head on a silver platter. You have no. Well, you probably know because I'm pretty sure they probably told you about it. They want your head on a silver platter. Year 3, knowing the type of schedule that you was going to have, and you got the Florida Gators looking like this year. You knew damn well you had a harder schedule. You knew damn well what was coming 2 years in advance. That schedule came out 2 years in advance. We knew the schedule when you became the head coach of the Florida Gators. So you knew going in year 3 was going to be hell. And you still look garbage. You still look in it. If I can say everything that these fans I put on social media, oh my Lord, they want your head. There are reports saying boosters have already put up the money for your buyout. That's how bad people want you out of Gainesville right now. Despite the fact we have the worst schedule in the college football world. They do not care. They rather lose every single game this year if you get fired. They want you gone. They can't stand your butt right now. They really can't. This is why it is very, very terrible right now. In Gainesville. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. That was the Miami game. Plastered all over social media and ESPN against Miami. That was a live shot. Devastation to watch the Hurricanes walk in here and bring a hurricane to Gainesville. Because that's pretty much what they were. There was a hurricane from that point. You want to see what they're looking like against Texas A&M? That guy's pissed off. That guy's pissed off. The lady over there, she don't know what to think right now. The lady on behind her, she's in a pitiful state right now. The dude with the hat turned back is like me. He's just sitting there like, it is what it is at this point. And the lady that's you can honestly have her face, she look like she want to cry right now. She look like she want to cry. She look like she is heartbroken on what she's seeing on the football field in Gainesville, Florida. This is what the fan base in Gainesville look like. Miami on top, Texas A&M at the bottom. He's drunk and disgusted. He's so drunk. He actually knows what's going on. He still knows what's happening. That's not bad. You can have alcohol at the game and you just disgusted of what you're seeing in Gainesville, Florida. Two fan bases, both in the same state. Both are world-known, recognized in the college football world. Looking like hot garbage to start the 2024 college football season. Florida State 0-3 to begin the season. And they have losses to Georgia Tech, Boston College, and Memphis. Florida 1-2 with losses to Miami in a blowout, Texas A&M in a blowout, and the one win that they got was against Sanford, in which they supposed to do what they needed to do. Nevertheless, both fan bases are disgusted. One fan base is coming to their team's home game with paper bags on their heads and a sign saying we're cooked. And the other fan bases, they are getting drunk, but not even the alcohol can relieve the displeasure, the upsetment of what they are seeing in the swamp. This is where we are at in the state of Florida. Because Miami is ranked number 8 in the country and is not being really talked about. Not even Cool McCain was talking about his Hurricanes like that because he still got a jury out on them to see what happens to the middle point of the season. And UCF, the other three schools like Miami, Florida State, and Florida, they act like UCF don't exist. But guess what? UCF is just undefeated, just like Miami at 3-0. One team is relevant because they are the Miami Hurricanes, and the other three schools like the Casta side, like they don't matter. In the UCF Knights, those teams are 3-0. But the other two teams that people love talking about in the state of Florida, Florida State and Florida, they are combined 1-5. And people want to fire coaches, but here's the problem. Mike Norvell will have a $65 million buyout if he is fired from the University of Florida State. And for Billy Napier, much lesser, but $26 million if Strickland fires him today. This is what happens when you try to hire coaches and you give them the lucrative deal and the product doesn't match the lucrative deal. Can it change? We don't know. Should it change? We hope so. But nevertheless, these two teams are pitiful to watch play football this year. And that's something that you will never associate with two of the premier schools in the state of Florida. At least one of them would be good. The other one might be struggling. And then you have Miami, who is up and down. All of a sudden, both of these two schools are struggling, and Miami's trying to make their comeback. They are making their rise back to relevancy as they are at the 8th ranked team in the country, while Florida State and Florida are having to deal with crisis from their fan base with the product that's being put on the fields at Doak Campbell Stadium and in the swamp.